Well, Khalil, how different does this fight week feel for you? Or does it feel different?
It doesn't feel too much different. I think the only thing that really feels different is being in a ballroom versus being at the Apex.
What about fight week? Did it feel, fight camp, did that feel different for you? Did you do anything special?
Yeah, special in different ways. I just think the energy of fight camp was a bit different. We finally got to start to prepare for a title fight. I think vibes were really high in training camp. A lot of smiles, a lot of good times, a lot of enjoying the preparation and, just positivity, really. Yeah.
Talk to me about that moment you got the phone call.
Wow. I was having one of the roughest days of my life. I was in the middle of some legal stuff, and my phone rang, and it was the UFC. And they're like, "Hey, how's your day going?" And I said, "Terrible. What's going on?" And they're like, "Well, hope this makes your day a little bit better. You're going to be fighting Alex October 5th in Salt Lake City." And my day turned around within a matter of seconds. And yeah, it was just all smiles from that moment on.
When you saw them calling, was it like a gut, like, oh no, what's
yeah, I was like, come on. This is the last thing that I was expecting. Going through what I was going through, and it was gut-wrenching, but it ended up being for the best. Yeah.
I know you've talked before about, people online, what people say online, haters and that sort of thing. And obviously there was some backlash after the announcement, but were you able to kind of spin it in a positive way? Almost like this is motivation, everyone's counting me out, or did you not listen to it at all?
I didn't pay attention. I got no space. I got no time for other people's opinions. Look, I'm fighting for the title on Saturday, and as soon as I got the news, that was all that I've been focused on. So if it upsets people in this, it's none of my business. My business is to do, what the UFC called me to do. So everyone's gonna have opinions even after this, but I can't let it be my concern.
And no, going back to you on the regional circuit and you fighting and just starting your career, I imagine you thought about this moment. Does it live up to the way you kind of imagined it all those years?
I didn't expect it happening the way that it did, right? It's crazy how everything unfolded. I would say I'm happy that I'm in the position that I'm in right now with this title fight coming up. What I mean is I'm happy that I got this call and this opportunity, and I'm prepared for it, and I feel it. It doesn't feel like a lucky thing, and I didn't have to scrounge and get ready. I've been prepared for this. I've been saying it. I've been working for it, and now it's here.
What do you expect in there?
What do I expect in there? I expect to become the champion, 100%.
How do you see yourself matching up against him? I know obviously you're going in with confidence, but what kind of fight are you expecting from him?
It's really hard to say. I'm not expecting a certain type of fight. I'm going in there focused. I'm going in there determined, aware. A lot of this camp and a lot of my coaching and mentorship and stuff is really just been about me and focusing on me. I can't get lost in the lights of everything else. So I don't know what to expect, but I'm prepared for it all.
Have you seen him this fight week at all?
Not yet.
Are you excited to see him for the first time?
Excited is not the word to use. But I know it's bound to happen. And when it does, it happens. It's not really like a feeling of excitement. It's inevitable. So when it happens, however I feel inside is how I feel.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Khalil, other side. I don't know if you saw, but there was a clip going around yesterday of Anderson Silva in a media scrum in 2015 joking about how you knocked him out in training camp. And then you circled back and he said, I think you were 2-0 at the time, and he said that you were going to be a future champion all the way back in 2015. He was saying this. So I know you envisioned like getting the belt and everything, but do you just think of that time too? And like people like Anderson have been calling you a future champ for 10 years at this point.
I think about those moments a lot, especially when those moments of doubt creep in, like self-doubt. I think we all deal with that a little bit, especially when we're going, after big things. And I remember that, people like Anderson have been saying this when I only had 2 fights. There was something that they saw being champions themselves, So, yeah, I think about it. I appreciate those moments. I love that they're out there and they're a part of my story, so that when I do become champion, it's just like it just all aligns,
What's it like when, because like it's one thing to have like your coach, your training partner say future champion, but have a guy like Anderson Silva say you're going to be a future champion at 2-0, 3-0. Did you feel pressure at some point? Like, how do you compartmentalize a guy of that stature saying that to you so early in your career?
I don't think it was pressure that I felt. It was just love. Like when I met Anderson and when he took me in, and the relationship that we have and the relationship that we just built and developed, it just feels good. Obviously he's done what he's done, and he's always going to be my all-time favorite fighter. I aspire to have a career like his, and he'll always be like a huge source of inspiration for me, especially in the MMA world. But when I hear something like that from him, it just feels like love, like he's treating me like a brother, like a little brother, and that's cool. So yeah, man, that's the best I could say. Yeah.
And then like just kind of looking at your story, because like we've been covering you for so long, and like you did your post-fight interview in the Apex, you say like you can use me, like I don't want to run from this or hide from this, and then your countdown came out, and I bet there's a ton of new fans that had never seen you fight or didn't know your story or what you're about your father and everything. Did you kind of see like this bump up in like not interest, but like people reaching out to you that maybe had never seen you fight or didn't know your story? They would just they only watch pay-per-views and that's it, but now they've discovered who you are.
I think actually after my last fight with Anthony Smith, there's been a big influx of new fans and people, and that's been really cool, and it's been really motivating. It's almost every day that I go somewhere now in Vegas, grocery store, mall, wherever I go, at least one person, will come up to me and say like, oh, I know who you are, or they'll share with me, maybe a difference that I've made for them or something. So since the Anthony Smith fight, I've seen a huge influx. With this fight camp and the amount of media and stuff that's happened, I've been off my phone, so I haven't really, and I've been up in the mountains for 10 days now, so I haven't seen anybody, but I'd imagine that now that more people have heard, that hopefully they start reaching out, and yeah, we make a difference.
And then looking at this actual fight, you touched upon it really briefly when we spoke to you at the red carpet for the Hall of Fame, but fans kind of view Alex as like the final boss for, because you beat Gokhan Saki, you beat Justin Jacoby, and he's like the end goal for these goalie kickboxers coming in. Do you kind of like that narrative? Is it like, or is this a fun thing for fans to kind of cue in on, or do you just kind of put that off to the side?
I think it's kind of cool. Yeah, that's definitely a fun way to look at it, especially from a fan standpoint. If they see Alex as the final boss, and I get to go and take my shot at the final boss. I think it's really cool. I think it adds excitement. It adds, interest and anticipation. So yeah, I'd like to, entertain it.
Just 2 more quick ones. His last 2 fights, people have obviously been heavily favoring Alex, but then like in the build up to this, like Chael Sonnen says you're gonna whoop Alex. Kamaru Usman thinks you're gonna shock the world. Israel is obviously siding with Alex, but it seems a lot more 50-50 in terms of your fellow fighters, not fans and pundits. So I guess, do you think they're just tired of seeing Alex at the top, or do you think this is general, like they see your skill set and they go, you're the guy that can beat Alex?
I think that it could be a mixture of both, but I think the guys who ride for me ride for me. The guys who don't, they don't believe in me. They don't like me for some reason. They don't want me to succeed. I mean, there's just like, there's always a little bit of hate from somewhere. I don't expect everybody to like me. I don't expect everybody to ride for me. But the people who do, man, I love them to death. I support, like I appreciate the people who believe in me, who encourage me to go in there and to do my thing and to be my best. Everybody else, like, if you don't believe in me, whatever, like, I'm here to do my job, and I believe in myself as well. So,
last one for me. What do you make of Alex bringing in Sean Strickland at the end of this camp to kind of, put the pressure on him in there? And he said he's like a good training camp to prep for you.
It's cool. Like, sweet. That's cool. Yeah. I mean, like, I saw it and I was like, cool. Like, honestly, the last interaction that I had with Sean Strickland was at the UFC PI. It was literally the day after Dan Ige stepped in that fight, like 4 hours notice or something like that. And I was going into the PI. I saw Dan Ige. I walked right up to him, gave him his props for just having balls of steel for, just going in there like on such short notice. And out of the blue, Sean Strickland come up to me. He approached me, and he just said, like, Khalil, I apologize. I'm a dumbass. I actually kind of like you. I think you're liberal, but, but overall, I like you or I respect you. Something along those lines. So what I took it as is like, almost like squashing whatever beef. You know what I mean? Or just like saying like, look, dude, I am who I am. I'm going to say what I'm going to say, but I'm coming here to personally shake your hand, tell you, I think you're a liberal, but, to a certain level, I respect you. You know what I mean? It was like that. So I took it as like, okay, you're coming here to kind of make the peace. And I left it at that. So now anything moving forward, like anything that's said or whatever, I got that stored in my memory bank. So I know that there's really no issue. It's really just talk, and I won't concern myself with it, Yeah.
Khalil, could you give us some insight into this super secret move that you've got cooking up?
It's a super secret.
I'm excited to see it, though. Do you think you can pull it off?
It's honestly like one of those things that it presents itself, I can't go searching for it. I can't go hunting for it. It's when the opportunity comes, if it's there, if it's forced, it won't necessarily work. Like the piece has got to be there. So it's possible. It's possible to happen against anyone. Yeah.
I remember when Demetrius Johnson did his flying armbar and people dubbed it the mousetrap. Do you have a name for this move, or are you going to have to debut that after you pull it off?
Yeah, I'd have to name it after I pull it off, for sure.
Speaking of techniques and unique techniques, Alex Pereira seems to have this sort of special way to check kicks, right? He sort of gets his whole leg out of the way. Is that something that you've noticed in his fights, or is that something that you sort of can't really see until you're in there and feel it for yourself?
Yeah, I didn't notice anything. I mean, I think I saw something like checking the kick with like the back foot and checking the kick like just by lifting the leg back. But I really don't pay too much attention to, to those type of things. When I think it's very different when you're in the cage and when it's live and when it's like, when there's a title on the line and when there's power coming at you. It's a different scenario, so I try not to get too caught up into things that maybe I see online or maybe I hear about, because fighting is very instinctive and intuitive and from my perspective. So
this is a sport about momentum, right? Like guys get momentum, they start pulling off great things, great victories quickly in a row. But do you think for Alex, right, he's basically been untouchable. He's knocking out all these people in spectacular fashion. Do you think there could be a point where momentum parlays itself into overconfidence and perhaps he comes in, he's like, oh, I'm fighting a kickboxer. I'm amazing at kickboxing. I can just knock this guy out. And do you think there's a chance that maybe he could come into fights overconfident and that's something you could exploit?
I'd like to believe that he's not going to come in overconfident. That's what I'd like to believe. I'd like to believe that he's coming in his very best. I know that momentum can be a great thing. I know that momentum can allow us to have a certain type of confidence, which can be good. But I think the both of us on each side know what we're up against.
Khalil, right over here in the back, sorry.
Hey.
I saw in a video how you mentioned that at one point you were 300 pounds depressed and smoking cigarettes. You know, fast forward to now, man, you have the opportunity to challenge for a UFC championship against a guy who some consider one of the best to ever do it. When you take a look back and think about, you know, how far you've come since that time, how proud does it make you of yourself?
Yeah, it's definitely, I've come a long way. I think that it's now becoming more like known to the public on what my origins were when I started. But that person that I was is so far behind now. You know, I can look back and I can see who I was and what I was going through. I really focus on the road that's been in between that person and where I am now. I'm very happy that I overcome all of the challenges, even past that, the other ones that are in between. I'm proud of myself for sticking it through. I'm grateful for my team, my coaches, my family, everybody who I keep near me. Like, that's right now, like, one of the most important things is who I've surrounded myself with and the people who have held me accountable. But it's major, and in a way, like, this is only the beginning. Like, I understand that I'm getting ready to fight for a title. This is the height of my career, but I think as far as personal growth and who I'm becoming and will become as a man, this is only the beginning.
Fair enough. And last but not least, man, I have to mention the prank that we saw on Embedded with the Bigfoot outfit.
Did you guys like that one?
Absolutely. Do you think that this might be one of the highlights of, you know, your UFC career and fight weeks? Like, that had to be something that you probably remember, you know, forever.
Yeah, I think we'll remember it for a very long time. It was just a good moment to have. Like I said, we've been up here in the mountains for a while. Every day has been hard work. You know, there wasn't actually like a lot of fun and games going on. But we figured we'd end the week with something like that. I'm glad everybody had fun. I'm glad it actually worked, and Daryl was convinced. You know, like that was the highlight, and just going and seeing on Embedded, like just seeing his eyes, and oh my, yeah, that was good. So one of the highlights, I'll always remember it. And I think it might be the beginning of maybe a series of fight camp pranks.
Thank you, man. I just thought that, like, the area you did it in couldn't have been any more perfect. The little trail, then down below you got the Bigfoot running. That was perfect, man.
Yeah, and it was actually a workout as well, because we had to go down this hill about a quarter mile, but we're all the way up in Park City. So, you know, running back uphill, incline, quarter mile sprint, it ain't easy. Shout out to the Embedded camera guy for keeping up with us. Yeah.
Kale, I wanted to circle back around a couple times. You mentioned kind of embedding yourselves up in the mountains and training in Park City and whatnot. Did you spend a little extra time trying to get altitude adjusted and that kind of thing? Is that sort of what you're referring to, or?
Yeah, I came up early. I wanted to make sure that I was as prepared as I can be. So we came up very early, and actually my first time really coming down from the mountain is to come here to do check-in, to do media. But we've been up there. We've been training up there. We've been running every day. We've been, you know, grappling, doing everything up there, and it's beautiful. This is, I think, Salt Lake City and Park City and it's in my top 10 favorite places in the world, and I've been a lot of places. But this place is beautiful.
So it's safe to assume they're treating you pretty well in Park City and in Salt Lake, the little bit you've been out there?
Man, the place is amazing. We got, we had a fun time at the Utah Hockey Club game. Super welcoming, great crowd, great team. They came out strong even in just like an exhibition game. Fans have been really supportive. Amazing coffee shops, great food. I love to ski, so like going and seeing Park City, and like it's not snowing yet, but obviously like just seeing the potential, just like ski slopes and what's out there. I'm a fan. I'll be back multiple times.
Khalil over here on your left. Now that we're actually here, we're just a few days away from this fight. We can only imagine the emotions that come with finally getting a shot after years of training and dedication. Are you avoiding these emotions and trying to stay focused, or are you taking it all in?
I'm taking everything in, whether it's emotions or happiness. Like I'm just taking it all in. Emotions or lack of emotion, I think I'm embracing the moment. I'm just trying to stay positive and stay grateful and happy. I mean, it's not every day that I get to headline a pay-per-view and fighting for a title. So I make sure that every day when I wake up, in the middle of the day, and when I go to bed, I'm just grateful for the moments. Grateful for where I'm at. It's an appreciation thing. And I think that's what's helping me to kind of like combat the emotions or put too much pressure on myself. I'm just happy. I'm happy to be here. I'm happy to know that I'm prepared. I thank my coaches and my team for like just the dedication, so there's just a lot of positivity around all of this. And I think that's what's helping me to kind of combat any, nerves and all that stuff. They'll come when they come. I know they'll be there, but like now in the moment and up until now, everything, it's just been trying to just stay positive and keep my heart like full.
Nice. And real quick, I don't know if you saw the other day, Alex Pereira dared you to publicly promise a portion of your fight purse to charity if you shoot for a takedown. Is that something you're entertaining a lot? I know you don't even shoot for takedowns.
I mean, I would rather just publicly promise to donate a portion of my winnings to charity regardless of a takedown or not. I'd rather do that than, you know what I mean? I'm not a betting guy. I don't bet. I don't really like support it, but if it's like a challenge in a way to like to show or to show that I will donate to a positive cause or to a charity, I don't need to say that I won't shoot for a takedown. I'll just do that flat off. If that's what he's asking me to do, hey, I want you to donate to charity. Okay, that's what I'll do. Am I going to shoot for a takedown? I don't plan to. I've said this multiple times. It's not in my plans. But if it happens, it happens. It is MMA. The guy hits me with something and I'm like, I have to save myself. Okay, cool. But like my game plan is not to go in there and become a D1 wrestler or, everybody who watched me knows. That's kind of where I want to actually kind of say that to, I guess, set the record straight, because there's been a lot of talk around this takedown and this and that. The main thing that I was trying to say, my whole career, everyone has known me for pretty much my striking and my striking style. What I was trying to say is, don't expect anything different just because it's a title fight and just because I'm going against Alex, who's also a striker. Don't expect anything different. Expect me. Expect who you've always seen. Now, if something happens, I get damaged, and there's no choice but to, shoot a takedown. Okay, maybe that happens, but that's my game plan, and who I am hasn't changed. I'm not a wrestler, so don't expect me to go in there diving for legs for 5 rounds. That's kind of the main thing. But then it turned into like this challenge and this and that. No. So I will, no matter what, takedown or not, I'll donate a portion of my winnings to a charity in Las Vegas, because that's my home and that's where I plan to bring the belt back home to. And there are a lot of places there that or a lot of like foundations and stuff there that could use help. So challenge accepted.
Thanks, man.
Yeah.